Mr. Grossman, hi. Greg Palast, BBC and Guardian. I tracked down an elusive American speculator to his New York lair. He's been awarded $100 million against one of Africa's poorest countries, Congo. You have, in effect, a stolen security in your hand that you're using to beat up the Congo?
And I'm not beating up the Congo. I'm collecting on a legitimate claim.
While the rest of the world wrote off the debts of Congo, this man and his fellow speculators sucked up cheap African debt and made millions on it. In the trade, they are known as vultures. Do you think it's fair that your vulture fund has sought $100 million from the Congo?
Yeah, I do, actually.
I'm heading out of the capital, Kinshasa. The cholera epidemic is sweeping the country. I'm driving to an encampment where the victims are cared for in quarantine. It's still a struggle for the people here, in a nation just now recovering from years of civil war.
This place is what we call a cholera treatment center, here set up in Kinshasa, part of the town called Kinkabwa.
They've already treated 8,000 cholera patients, including 11-year-old Idoma Ensako.
He had cholera, but now he's better.
It's simple. What's needed here is clean water. The question is, why don't they have it?
Here's what's happened. A financial speculator has blocked the Congo receiving $100 million, which the vulture wants for himself. In this village, the British government and UNICEF dug a well. At a cost of less than $2,000, they were able to provide clean water, cholera-free water, for 400 people. That still leaves 50 million Congolese without clean water. The vulture wants $100 million. I asked the director of the UNICEF project what $100 million could do here.
200,000 children who have their life saved.
So $100 million, 200,000 children saved.
Saved, yes.
The story began 30 years ago when Yugoslavia built power lines for the Congo. They hadn't finished paying for the lines when both Congo and Yugoslavia slipped into civil war. 100,000 died as Yugoslavia split into 7 separate countries and millions died in Congo. Somehow, in all this mayhem, vulture speculators obtained the right to collect that power line debt owed by the Congo. The vultures paid just $3 million, but they've demanded $100 million from the devastated African nation. I've come here, to Sarajevo, the center of another bloody conflict, to find out how the vultures got their hands on this debt. I've obtained information that the 2 key players are these men. First, an American, Michael Sheehan, and second, Bosnia's own former prime minister, Nedjad Brankovic. The pylons for Congo were made here at the state-owned company called Energo Invest. Energo was once the powerhouse of the Bosnian economy. Now police are investigating how its assets were stripped, leaving it in ruins and thousands unemployed. 10 years ago, the state-owned company was being run by Mr. Brankovic. He became prime minister, but had to quit after he was indicted for corruption. So who are these guys? This is Michael Sheehan, perhaps the most famous vulture of all, a man who calls himself after a James Bond villain, Goldfinger. Goldfinger had squeezed millions out of Zambia, and now he targeted the Congo debt. In 2001, he signed a deal with the Bosnian Brankovic's people to see if he could get a cut. The transaction was more than suspect. Time to see the cops. This is the office of the chief of the financial police. We obtained a police report, never before made public. It says Brankovic secretly arranged to sell Goldfinger's friends the debt for just $3 million, and that this was a crime. Was it illegal for Brankovic to sell the debt off to the vultures?
Of course it is illegal. That's why we filed a criminal complaint. And this crime is abuse of power. We've identified the criminal intent, the elements of the crime, and who did it.
So why would Brankovic do this? What's his motive?
We ask ourselves that too.
Every crime has a motive. Did you find any evidence of a motive?
Neki interes postoji.
If something is worth 100,000 euros, say, and you sell it for 10 or 15,000, you tell me what's happening there.
If Brankovic is convicted, can he go to jail for this crime?
He must. He should go to jail.
Vultures swooped just as Congo was in chaos at its weakest. 1 week after Goldfinger got his hands on the debt, the president was assassinated. 6 other nations invaded Congo, and millions were dead. So there was no real government of Congo and no one to argue Congo's case when the vultures sued. So they were easy prey for the vultures. Vultures like to hunt in packs, work together. Goldfinger slipped the Congo debt to a friend of his, Peter Grossman, at FG Hemisphere in return for Goldfinger's commission of over $500,000. Then, the story switches from Congo to the real heart of darkness, New York City, home of FG Hemisphere. FG attempted to grab the diplomatic buildings of the Congo, but a judge said no. They began to go after any company anywhere in the world that traded with Congo. The vultures demanded Congo's money be handed over to them. They couldn't sue anyone in British courts because of a new law that was brought in after we exposed their activities. But then they found a loophole.
They realised that the law doesn't apply in overseas territories and crown dependencies, places such as Jersey and Guernsey. Places are often seen as tax havens and where lots of money is held. And they realised that there was money there held by Congo, and they've sued for $100 million in Jersey. And they've won that case.
Congo has appealed to the Privy Council in London. Little hope there. The law is the law, loopholes and all. But there is one hope for Congo before the vultures can swoop in and grab their cash.
They still can be stopped. The Jersey government has brought in a consultation considering the law, and so I'm heading out there next week to talk to the government and meet with concerned citizens who are pushing for the law to be adopted. So if it is passed in time before the final appeal, then the $100 million for Congo could still be saved.
If Jersey doesn't act, instead of the $100 million going to the Congo, the poor nation's money will end up here in New York, the address of the Vultures Fund, FG Hemisphere. It seems to be a garage. FG's owner is Peter Grossman. Mr. Grossman, hi. Greg Palast, BBC and Guardian. Hi. Do you think it's fair that your Vulture Fund has sought $100 million from the Congo?
Yeah, I do, actually.
You do, for a debt that you paid only $3 million for.
That's not true.
But do you know that the transfer of the debt to you was called a crime by the police? Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
You're not familiar with that.
And I'm not beating up the Congo. I'm collecting on a legitimate claim.
You're collecting on a legitimate claim. So that, in other words, the $100 million goes better to you than UNICEF, which says that it could use that $100 million to save 200,000 lives.
Mr. Palast, let me ask you a favor.
Okay, sure. Sure. Do you know a man? Okay.
No, excuse me.
Wait, I just want.
No, you've had your question.
I will have.
No, let me finish.
No, go right ahead.
This kind of guerrilla journalism doesn't work for me.
Back in the Congo, school kids are waiting for their school to get clean water, maybe even desks or chairs. What's your favorite subject?
Mathematics and French.
Mathematics and French. This is Congo's hope. This is Congo's future. Unless, of course, the vultures snatch it away.